All right, this is lesson 2 on parabolas. We're going to use this chart a little bit more today. The part that we're going to focus on is here, this and this, or this and this, depending which way it opens. And then, of course, these equations at the top we need to know. I will have the reference sheet for you next week that has this chart on it, okay? All right, this one is a review from yesterday. If I write the form above it, it would be x minus h squared equals 4p times y minus k. So what kind of fun can you tell me? Journey, can you tell me one thing? Okay. Brenton, can you tell me one thing? How about just what p is? Look right here. If 8 is equal to 4p, Jacob, can you tell me what that means in terms of the parabola? This one, sorry. It had a x squared, so it's opening which way? Up. Very good. X squared was up or down, and p was positive, so it's going to open up. Yeah. It's going to be wide. Good. All right. So if we used the sheet, just because we're going to use it more today, what is this sheet or the reference chart at the top there? What does it say for focus if a parabola opens up and down? H comma k plus p, is that what it says? And the directrix it says is at? Okay. So you could find those right now by just plugging in the values. What are h and k and p again? H is 1, k is 2, and p is also 2, right? All right. Rather than write those out, I'm going to go over here, talk about the graph so that we combine the two ideas here. The vertex is at 1, 2. It's opening up. So the focus is 2 units inside there. Did that work at what we just came up with? 1, 4? Looks right. The directrix is y equals, if we put in 2 and 2 here, we'd get 0. Does that seem right? 2 units below. Okay. The axis of symmetry they asked us to do also. That goes through those, and they have in common the focus and directrix both go through x equals 1. Now, it's opening up. I need to find one more point. This is our least favorite part. Okay, I won't ask you to do very many accurate graphs, like one on the next quiz of a parabola. Okay, but can you find a point that this will go through? What do you want to put in for x? You want to try 4? If x equals 4, you know what? When you pick your value to plug in, you should write down the ordered pair right away. Because otherwise, I don't know about you, at the end I forget what did I put in to start with, okay? So when x is 4, so I'm going to go back and put it in the original equation here. It will say 4 minus 1 squared equals 8 times y minus 2. That would be 9 divided by 8 equals y minus 2. If I did a little magic there, does that seem okay? 4 minus 1 is 3, squared is 9. I divided the 8 over here. That's roughly 1. We add the 2 over there, we get a little over 3, yes? It's 3.125 if you want to be, but all I care is that you're somewhere close to 4, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Now that means we were 3 units over this way, so we can go 3 more this other side of the x-axis to find another point. Just make sure it goes through the vertex, because sometimes when I'm getting crazy and drawing, I draw it through the focus instead of the vertex, and that would be wrong. Everybody all right? Okay. That would be the end of the fun for the day. These are not a lot more complicated, okay? These are actually completing the square, and we're going to be completing the square so many times in the next 2 weeks that you are going to be masters at it, okay? This one is actually already a perfect square on the left side, but I'm going to pretend it's not. I'm going to pretend we didn't notice that. The first thing you would do is get the squared term and its linear term that has the same variable on one side. So I want y squared plus 6y. And then I'm going to move everything else to the other side. So I'm going to subtract this 9 to the other side, which is really kind of pointless because it's, anyway, we're going to end up adding 9. What happens to this other side then? I have a 3 and a minus 12x, and I'm going to put a blank on both sides because that's what we always do when we complete the square, right? Did I lose anybody so far? Now, do you remember how completing the square goes? You take half of that, so we get y plus 3, and you square it to put it back in here, because y plus 3 times y plus 3, when you fold it all out, you get y squared plus 6y plus 9. So these are now equivalent because I put a 9 there. You see what I said earlier? It already had a 9 there, but most of the time we wouldn't have noticed that, and it won't always be that nice, so I'm going to go with it. On this side over here, what happens when we put the same thing in there? We get a negative 12x. Isn't that 12 plus 12? Everybody good? Okay. Is that the right form? Are we done? Almost. We just need to do what? Factor out the 12 over here, the negative 12, because we want the p then to be, we have to have a positive x in the parenthesis. Did I do that right? So h is 1, k is negative 3 for our vertex, and 4p is equal to negative 12, so p is negative 3. All right. And it's opening left because it has a y squared and a negative p value. All right. Right 1, down 3, put my vertex, go 3 units to the left for my focus. Anybody got that ordered pair? Good job. 3 units back this way for my directrix. Anybody have that equation? X equals, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can find all these by using the chart, right? If you want. Okay. The axis of symmetry would go right through the middle and through those 2 points, and they have in common y equals negative 3. All right, what do you want to try? Think about this a minute. It's opening to the left. Our vertex is at x equals 1. Do we want to try something further over to the right? No, we want to try something left. Negative 2? Negative 2? Okay, if we put a negative 2 in, I don't know where you want to put it in. We can put it in this form right here, the final form we wound up with. If we put in x equals negative 2, you'll have y plus 3 squared equals negative 12 times negative 2 minus 1. And I'm going to write down that I was putting in a negative 2 because you know I will forget what we put in. Okay. Negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. Times negative 12 is 36. Good call. Because when we square root 36, we get 6. And subtract 3, we get, so negative 2, positive 3. Oh, right on the edge of the graph paper, too. So it is quite wide. All right, a little more practice completing the square. What do we want to move where this time? Okay, so we're going to have x squared plus 6x plus blank. And if we subtract the 21 over that way, we'll have a negative 20y minus 89 plus blank. Well, I'm not seeing that factor in very well, but it'll be nice in just a minute. Yeah, I was pretty happy when I did the bookwork that they generally came out nice. There weren't ugly, disgusting numbers. All right, over here when we complete this square, we get what? X plus the half of the 6 is 3. And we square it and put it back here, it's a 9. Put a 9 on this side and we have minus 80. We need to factor out a negative 20. And we'll have left not minus, y plus 4. Be careful, watch your signs. Because we have to have a positive y on that side, positive 1y. So therefore we got to take out whatever's in front of it. Okay. H, K, and 4P. So, Ben, can you tell me where the vertex is?
The vertex is HK, which is -3, -3.
Gannon, can you tell me what P is? I know you're just starting this.
Yeah, I can tell you.
Right here. If 4P is equal to negative 20, P would be negative 5. There you go. All right. An x squared parabola opens either up or down. This one is negative, so it's going to open down. All right, these are H and K. So even Gannon, who wasn't here yesterday and has no clue what we're really doing, should be able to use that little chart, right? And find the focus and the directrix and the axis now. Because what does it say for focus when it's an x squared parabola? H comma K plus P. So that would be -3 comma -4 plus -5 would be -9. The directrix up at the little chart says y equals K minus P. That one's a little bit tricky. So it's -4 minus -5, which is going to be what? And the axis of symmetry connects the vertex and focus, so it's x equals -3. And it also has it's x equals h on the chart. All right. Over here, if I hadn't done any of that, and I had just plotted -3, -4, and then I knew my P was -5, that means I would be, this one opens down, so going down 5. Did I do something wrong? Okay. Focus, directrix is up 5. P is the distance. Gannon? P is the distance from the vertex to the focus or from the vertex to the directrix. Okay, that's what P tells you. That's all it tells you. All right, this one's opening down, so if we try a point +2, okay, put in a +2 right up in here. It would say 2 plus 3 squared equals -20 times y plus 4. Okay, 2 plus 3 is 5, squared is 25. divided by negative 20, and then subtract 4. I'm thinking it's like negative 5 point something. 2.5 maybe? Anybody testing me? So at 2, it's down at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.25. Is this one you could type in your calculator? How do you know? Does it have a plain old y? Could you get the y by itself? Yes. If you move things around and got the y by itself, you could type it in your calculator, and then you could use your calculator to find some ordered pairs. If it's got a y squared in it, it's a way bigger mess to try to type it in your calculator. You'd have to do 2 branches, and it's a whole hot mess. Okay. This one's got a coefficient on the squared term. And we're going to talk a whole bunch next week about what that means you have to do. But on this particular problem, what do you notice? Everything's divisible by 2, right? So at some point, we're just going to divide that coefficient, everything by 2. Next week, we're not going to be able to do that sometimes because you're going to have to factor out the x. There's going to be x squareds and y squareds, and they won't have the same coefficient. But we'll get there when we do ellipses. Okay. What do we need to move around a little bit? Okay, so we move the 4y over there. Well, it's not a 3. The last 2 had 3s, didn't they? What do we get this time in the parenthesis? X plus 5, so our blank gets a 25. And we have a negative 4y, negative 17 plus 25 is plus 8. What do we want to factor out? A negative 4, yeah. Make sure you take out so that you get a positive y. So I got that leaves y minus 2, yes? Okay. Someone explain to Gannon how you know which one's H and which one's K. H is always the one with X, and K is always the one with Y. All right, so you write out 4p times y minus k equals x minus h squared. If you need to write that right underneath there so that you see it line up. P is negative 1, k is positive 2, h is negative 5, and then you can find everything you need. All right, so where's the vertex? And the focus is 1 unit. Which way is this opening? It's an x squared with a negative, so it's opening down, okay? So 1 unit below that is the focus. So the focus is at negative 5, 1. The directrix is 1 unit above, which is y equals 3. And the axis of symmetry is x equals negative 5. Okay. So we plug in a 0. See where it crosses the x-axis at? All right, if I go down here, I'm going to write it up here though. If I go down here and put in an x equals 0, it'll say negative 4 times y minus 2 equals 0 plus 5 squared. Y minus 2 equals, what's 5 squared, guys? 25, and then we divide it by that negative 4. That's roughly negative 6. Add 2 is roughly negative 4. So what did I put in? I already forgot. A 0, right? And I got approximately negative 4. You can get a decimal. I just want an approximate value. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it that skinny? That doesn't seem right. What did I do wrong? Oh, x is 0, y is negative 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you. I can do the pre-calc, I just can't plot the points. Yeah, it's over there somewhere. All right. More fun on the back. You'll like this problem. This is your favorite kind, okay? You don't have to graph it all nice and find everything. All you have to do is come up with the equation. And you know everything you need to know right now. The vertex tells you what? H and K. So negative 2, 4 is the vertex. The focus is at negative 2, 3. If that's the focus, which way does this open? Seth, can you tell me which way it opens? Okay, and what's P? Yep, negative 1. Good job. And then for these kind of problems where they want you to just write an equation, I know it says and graph and whatever. I just write an equation. Just do a rough sketch and write an equation. I'll be happy. P is negative 1. So, parabola that opens down. I go to my sheet and it says a parabola that opens down has this equation. If I plug all that in, what do I get? We rock. Now, Jacob is leaving just when it's getting tricky. Gonna have to watch the video. All right. These are trickier. But if you label this right away with what it tells you, it will help a great deal. Okay? It tells you the focus. It tells you, first of all, it opens right. Can you look at the top of the chart? What does it tell you when it opens right? Okay, P has to be positive, but what else does it tell you? It's a y minus k squared equals 4p x minus h, right? Okay. What else does it tell you when it opens right for the focus? What does it say for focus? H plus p comma k when it opens right? Is he right? Okay. So we know k is 1. And we know h plus p is 2. And now it seems like that's not helpful, but we're going to have to deal with it. 8 and negative 7 are going to be what values? X and y values. Nice job. Job, Trey. Okay. We're going to plug all that fun in. Ready? What are we going to put in for y? Negative 7. Minus, what are we going to put in for k? 1. Squared equals, we don't know p. So we have to put 4p, parenthesis. What are we going to put in for x? 8. Minus, okay, we don't know h. Oh, do we want to deal with two variables? No. What could we do to find h right here? H equals 2 minus p. So right in here, I'm going to write 2 minus p, and I do need an extra parenthesis. Okay, no crying. It's pre-calc. No crying in pre-calc. We can do this. Left side is basic math, right? We get 64. Over here we have 4p. 8 minus 2 minus negative p becomes... 8 minus 2 is 6. Everybody okay if I just write the 6? You know where that came from? Okay. And then minus a negative p became plus p, right? Did I lose anybody? 8 minus 2 plus p if I distribute the minus. So we got 6 plus p. All right. I don't want to distribute because I'm just going to get rid of this 4 right now. Is that all right with everybody? I divided both sides by 4. So now I have 16 equals 6p plus p squared. Now what? Yep. Get it equal to 0 and factor. P squared plus 6p minus 16. Factors how? Yep. So p is negative 8 or 2. Now, for the first time, it matters that it opens right. Because I get to eliminate one of those choices and I say p has to be 2, right? Because it opened right. Okay. Are we done? We got to write the equation. Y minus, what's k? Squared equals, what's p? P is 2, so 4p is 8. X minus, uh-oh, do we know h yet? We got to put our p is 2 back in here, so we get h is 0. That's how it would look in the book if you left it x minus 0. I don't care. All right. And we didn't even graph it. I should have graphed it. Just to show you that when we went over 2 and up 1 and we knew it was going through some mystery point, 8, negative 7 down here, it had to be opening 1 and we didn't know where the vertex was. Okay? Where is the vertex now? 0, 1. Does that make sense that the vertex could be at 0, 1? Okay. I should have graphed it to begin with just so you had an idea. All right, this one has a focus point at 1, 4. Yes, the graph paper is counting by 2s. It goes through some point negative 3, 1. But remember, that's not the vertex, it's the focus. So I don't really know where it's going. Okay? What do I know? Because it opens down, I know that the general form is an x squared. So I have x minus h squared equals 4p times y minus k. And what does it say for a focus point when it opens down? H comma k plus p. And this is an x and this is a y. Okay, the two people who are still awake, what do you know? H is 1. K plus p is 4. Which means k is 4 minus p, because remember we're trying to find p eventually here. All right, should we plug some things in? Anybody want to come up and do this? Somebody need to move? Come on. No? Yeah, I hear snoring on my video. Okay, what's x? X is negative 3. H is 1. P we don't know. Y is 1 minus, what's K? 4 minus P. Okay, how many steps can we skip?
We can skip a couple.
Negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4 squared is 16.
Divided by 4 is 4.
Yep, we're going to divide by that 4 eventually.
Oh, we could just done it right
Yeah,
there.
we can. But what happens when we distribute in here? 1 minus 4 is negative 3, and minus that negative P becomes plus, right? Can I skip a step until I move everything to one side? What will I have when I move everything to one side? Did I skip too many steps? This is a negative 3p plus a p squared. I just wrote it in a different order, and then I subtracted that 4 over there. How does that factor? So I get p is either 4 or negative 1. How do I know which one?
Opening down, so it can't be positive. Above.
Okay. One more step before we can write the equation, right? 4 minus negative 1 makes k 5. Okay. Magical equation. X minus h, which is 1 squared, equals 4p, which would be negative 4 times y minus k, which is 5. Okay. 2 examples enough of that? Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll skip number 8. You can go back and do it for more practice before we take the test on this, or whenever you think you need to. Remember yesterday I talked about parabolas are real life things. When you go to you watch the football game and somebody goes out of bounds and runs over the guy holding the big parabola shaped thing and you laugh. Okay. That parabola shaped thing is catching the sound waves, and at the focal point of that parabola is a microphone that he's catching those sound from the field. So this says, suppose a receiver in a parabolic dish antenna is 2 feet from the vertex and is located at the focus. What is that telling us?
That,
2 feet from the vertex is the focus. The distance between the vertex and the focus is 2. Okay, assume that the vertex is at the origin and it's pointed up. Boop. Okay, P is 2. Write the equation for me. Who's got this? Really? Trey? If you tell me the equation of this. Guys, it's a parabola that opens up. Its vertex is 0, 0.
X squared
X
equals
minus H.
2
No. X squared.
times
8P.
2, right? No, 8.
8.
8
8. There you go.
times y.
Okay. All right, one more application because you have several on your homework. This says there's the entrance to this college has a parabolic arch. And this is what you know about it. It says write an equation. Well, I'm going to put a great big dot here and call that vertex 0, 0. Okay? What is another point it goes through if this is what it looks like? Down 10 and over how far?
20.
So down 10 and over 20 is right here. That's a good enough graph for me. Write an equation. Well, what do you know right now?
B equals 10. Or
H equals 0, K equals 0.
X equals
It's opening down.
y.
We need to find P though, right?
40.
I think you're probably right, but did they actually tell us that this is the focus? Just to pretend, what is that ordered pair right there? Please don't tell me 10, 20. Right 20, down 10. Okay, 20, negative 10. So to double check that I have P right, I'm going to put that point in. 20 minus 0 squared equals 4P times negative 10 minus 0. That's 400. This is negative 40P, so P is what? So when we plug it back in here, we do indeed get x squared equals negative 40y, just like Ben said. So apparently this is the focal point right here, but they didn't really tell us that, so we double checked, triple checked. Okay? All right, very important. Go to this next slide and fix your assignment. Okay, very, very, very important. It's correct on the board over there. It's wrong on your worksheets. You get to cross off 44. Yeah. If you don't do 13 through 23, you're not going to have any practice with that completing the square stuff, and that would not be a good plan. Yes? Can I go back to this slide?
Yeah. Why would you like set up the equation instead of just saying 4P? To solve the P? Because the arch to the line is 10.
Because I didn't know where the focal point was. I wasn't sure that the focus was at that spot right there. So therefore, I wasn't positive that P was 10. Okay? I probably could have assumed it, and obviously I would have got it right. But all right. I am going